Okay, well, for this, welcome back to Phantasy Stars Online 2. Bleh, I cannot speak. Welcome back to Phantasy Stars Online 2 for maybe, quite potentially, the last time. Obviously PSO2 is still running, it's still active. But all the urgent quests are randomized now, so that must mean that there's some stuff I could potentially go back and record, but I don't know if I will. So this could be the very last video. So although maybe it won't be. Maybe it won't be. Who knows? So this is Deus Esca, which is a quest that I believe I've mentioned a couple of times in the past, but I've never really gotten into it. I've never really done it on camera before, so here we go. This is from the end of episode 4, and I'm wondering, how do we fight both a... whatchamacallit? Why are we fighting both a robot, a phantasm battleship, which was for the last video, and now we're fighting vaguely biblical-inspired guy with the PSO2 logo on his back. I know, it is very weird. Episode 4 is very weird. And right now, we are at Yggdrasil, the World Tree, fighting our way upwards. And I am playing a brand new class, the Phantom, and it is by far my favorite class. I absolutely adore Phantom Katana. It was one of my... I loved Phantom Katana so much. Unfortunately, it's actually not that good in terms of the meta, so I was actually planning on building out Hero, which is why I said that in the previous video. I said I was planning to build Hero, which honestly took me a lot of both one of my Alliance members convincing me and also sort of me talking myself into it. I think he may have gotten fed up with me at some point, so sorry. But yeah, this is easily my absolute favorite class and weapon combination to play. So these are his little minions. These are the S guys, the S Sanctress, S Anges, and S. There's something else that I'm forgetting, but yeah, these. So I have to go into the episode 5's weirdness in order to explain what is actually why these guys exist. They're humans that have been turned into weird angel armor suit people because some guy is tired of how bad humanity is and he wants to start again, I guess, kind of. It's very weird. I've thought about just making a video, like trying to branch out my content just a little bit, doing some other stuff, you suppose you could say. So, if non-gaming content starts to pop up over the next, I don't know, month or so, that's why. There's something that it's like a very easy piece of content I've thought about doing for a while that I just haven't gotten around to doing yet. But, you know, maybe I will. Maybe I will sometime in the future. Maybe. When I feel like it. Anyway, we are getting quite close now to the full Deus Esca fight. So there's actually two versions of this fight. The first one is Deus Esca Zephyros, which is this version of the fight, and the other one is Deus Esca Gracia, who is the version that you fight in the Mother Omnipotent Shatterer quest. This version has the full run up the tree and whatnot. The Gracia fight is basically identical, except they changed some of his colors, and also they changed his color scheme very slightly, and they believe they cut out the first part, like the march up the tree. I don't remember if they cut out this part of the fight. Maybe they did as well. Honestly, I can't remember. It's been a while. But yeah, I mean, Gracia is basically the exact same fight, but like not. And he attacked with a lot of thorn, tree root sort of stuff, which, again, a lot of people have suspected this to be a biblical reference. A lot of the stuff in episode 4, especially with the stuff to do with Deus Esca, is biblical in nature, I suppose. I'd have to really look into the imagery and try and piece together what they were going for, which I think could be potentially quite interesting. But yeah, so he falls into the tree root, and then here we go. this happens. He now has a belt made of 8 snakes. Why? I couldn't tell you. I don't know why someone did this, but here we go. I have no words. Just enjoy. Alright, so this part of the fight, I believe the main thing is we're just trying to... We're trying to beat up his little snake heads. They'll got this forearm around them, and then once that's all done, we move to the next phase, which just gotta wail on these guys. Slashy, 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 and you can see the phantom marks there, which I actually quite like. I'm really hoping they bring Phantom back for whatchamacallit, Genesis, which hopefully I will be getting videos out sometime, if not probably next week. I like almost certainly next week. So yeah, he's doing this little thing, and then his snakes fall down in this little nice little pattern, and you can come up and beat up on the big blue thing on his chest, and it's great. Excuse me. So, pretty much most of this, the first part of this fight is us trying to get him to get his snakes to fall down so we can beat up his little thing. And so now he's about to split the platform in half, which means kablam. So yeah, as you can see, split it in half. That attack right there instant kills you. Doesn't matter how much armor you have, just immediate death. Which, for some utterly bizarre reason, I actually heard some guy, I think I was doing the Gracia version of this fight, said, hey, stand in the middle. I'm not sure if he was trolling or if he was just actually didn't know that's what it did, but that is very questionable. So essentially we're going back to beat up on the snakeheads again, although now the party's split into two, so there's 2 people on one side, people on the other. And so he'll briefly turn his attention to each side. I believe he can actually switch the snakes, so if, like, for example, if everyone ends up on one side, you're not just, you know, do anything. But yeah, PH Katana is so much fun. And I'm watching this back now, and I'm like, how did I ever get convinced that I needed to go hero? This looks so cool. Especially with the Esca Reblada, which is one of the coolest looking weapons in the entire game. Okay. He's doing his orb bursty thing, basically. I don't know exactly what happens when those goes off, because every group I've been in has been good enough to not let them go off. So, you know. And I believe he can form a bridge for each side, so this bridge will only let one side up and not the other. So, yeah. There you go. So now we're just going to beat up on his chest again, and then we will move on to the next part of the fight. So, you know, fun times. And I forget what happens now. So, okay, so he's gonna get his wings, and then we're now on one part of the platform, and we're all gonna just beat up on him. So basically, his chest is exposed for a lot of the time now, and basically what we're doing is just DPSing him down. He's gonna attack with his sword, he's gonna attack with his big old fisty boy, and then he also, again, he summons thorns, and he shoots, I believe he fires laser beams from the sky at us. So yeah, there's the sword. There we go. I think it's kind of cool how he sheets it like in the center of his chest, and it goes down when he's like doing stuff like this. And you gotta rest his hands on top of it, kind of like saying, come at me, bro. It's a pretty cool, I do think this is a pretty cool fight. Although I think I know people that dislike it, but honestly I think it's really cool. I have a lot of fun doing it. Although those throwing patterns get me way too much. Before I really started learning them, I got hit by those every single time. It's bad. It's really bad. So yeah, basically this part of the fight's just beat up his little bulb chest thingy. Although I will say the one thing I don't really like about this is that the textures are so low res. Like, this was before episode 6, where they managed. Episode 5 definitely looks a lot better than episode 4, because I think they just got better textures in episode 6, because they sort of figured out how to use the limitations of the software, of like the hardware, like of the game that they had to try and to sort of cover up for the fact that the game was so old. But in episode 4 really doesn't do that very well, except with a couple exceptions, I think. So yeah, it does look pretty dated, especially nowadays. And especially if you've been seeing like me and you've been playing a ton of New Genesis, and so you're like, oh, this looks so great, and then you go back to this and it's like, ooh, that's rough. That is rough. But yeah, I'm sort of going off on tangents right now because there's not really much to talk about. We're just trying to beat him up, basically. Although eventually, once we do enough damage, he should start. Oh, here's this weird little end attack. He does drag his sword across the whole thing. Yeah, he's a really cool boss. He's just again, you notice we only have 6 people and we're doing this on extremely hard because this is very old content. This came out in like 4 years ago, about thereabouts. So because of how better our gear is now, because again, just more stuff's come out. Obviously, he's just not as difficult as he used to be. Like back in the day, back in 2017, 2018. We could not do this with 6 people, even with really good gear. I think this would be nearly impossible because of the hard DPS check, which is happening now. So he gets his sword up, and then he shoots a laser at the moon, and yeet. And so the idea is he's blasted off all these chunks of the moon that are all going to come falling down and destroy Earth in a giant shower of meteors. And this is one of my favorite parts. This is essentially a DPS check. So we gotta destroy all of his little heads. This time we're actually like straight up destroy them. And then, as you can see, we have a 5-minute counter. I believe this goes down to 4 minutes in harder difficulties, or maybe it stays at 5 and I didn't notice. Obviously, honestly, it's been ages since I've done the ultra hard version of this quest, and so once you blow up all these serpent heads, he comes down and you get to wail on him, and it's great. So I believe, yeah, and I believe this part's just after that first initial phase, it just kind of goes back to, oh yeah, that he gets even madder. But after that, yeah, it pretty much just goes back to what you saw earlier, where you just same attacks, basically, just now there's a very hard DPS timer. Although something does cool what happens every minute, I believe. 4 minutes. I love that little X minutes to Earth destruction for whatever reason. It makes it feel a lot more impactful for whatever reason. I don't know. It's just a neat little detail, I suppose. Although I think that's new. I think he does start using his sword a bit more, and he's a bit more glowy, and we get the whole New World theme playing, which is basically the end theme for every Phantasy Star boss. It's like, here's the it's the final countdown, if you will. You'll hear it a lot, especially if you watch a bunch of my videos, because I fight a lot of bosses. So yeah, he should be going down here fairly soon. So we're just gonna beat him up a bit more. Again, I can't understand how cool Phantom Katana looks. I'm really hoping they do bring it back, and there we go. That is him finally dead. So he's gonna collapse into the tree and dissolve into golden light. And then yeah, there you can see the full tree starts slowly falling apart. Man, episode 4 had some pretty cool, I guess you could say, set pieces, even if I think it is very weak in a number of other areas. I don't know. If I do like a full story analysis or something eventually, which I've thought about doing once or twice, or even just like talk about the story in general, just here's some thoughts that I have on the story, nothing too serious. And maybe I'll talk about episode 4 a bit more. And there we go. It's the end. You can see my cool little Shiva costume, which is... Shiva outfit's pretty cool. But yeah, that should be about it. Do I have much to say? I guess I've you know, I should have my next video up sometime in next week, and this video should be going up Friday of this week, assuming I don't get very lazy, which is definitely a possibility. But yeah, thank you for watching, and I will see you next time. Peace.